Hello. Today was all about having the revelations and aha moments while sitting in the bath. I popped on a recorder. It's like it's an app called Color Note, and as you speak, it records. And so I'm going to read what came out of this. Anywho, here I go. I'm sitting here in the bath having revelations that my trauma has been accumulative, and it started at an early age. From a young age, my mom used to tell me that I was fiercely independent, but she also told me that I was colicky and cried a lot. She used to tell me stories about no one could comfort me, and I didn't want to be touched by anyone. Fast forward to the formative years, kindergarten through third grade, which is slightly blurry, yet I do recall instances of not wanting to be touched and being shy. I was a thumbsucker, and I had a fear of speaking. I had a fear of being in front of people. I recall having long hair that my mom would often either put in pigtails or braids. And there was always this boy that sat behind me, and he would pull on my pigtails and braids. And I would go home crying about it. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, it hurt my feelings. And she would tell me, oh, he's just doing that because he likes you. He's doing that because he likes you. I believe that started the belief. I want to say the word is sadom or masochism or whatever equates to the belief that pain is love, or love is pain, or love is painful, or when people hurt you, they actually love you. So that program, and I'm calling it a program because I've carried it throughout my life. I stayed in relationships longer than I should have. After elementary and middle school and high school, like to look back at everything that just from that one program kind of makes everything click into place, like a piece of a puzzle. My piece of the puzzle was being told, oh, he's mean to you, he likes you. Now I get it. I remember in elementary, I was in elementary school. I want to say third or fourth. I want to say it could have been fourth grade. Anywho, we were moving and I couldn't understand why. And I was like, I was sad. I recognized that I was going to lose my best, like I was not going to see my best friend. And my mom was like, you'll make more friends. And I said, why are we moving anyway? And they said, so that my sister could start school in a new district. So that began the puzzle piece of, well, what about me? What about my needs? What about what I want? Naturally, that was a gut punch to my system. I'm trying to read and relate at the same time. It's, as you can see, it's difficult for me to go to my notes and then look at the camera. So I'm gonna stay focused over here. So for me, that was a gut punch to my system, and I'm thinking, what about me? So I think that's another program that I've had all my life is the what about me? And so another thing dropped in, and I'm going to call it gestational trauma because I know my mom said that she was in an abusive relationship with my stepfather, which created, in addition to the childhood trauma that everyone wants to sweep under the rug and act like it never happened, or I was raised worse. You didn't have like you. She used to tell me things like, "You didn't have it so bad." My memory remembers differently, but okay. Anywho, back to my notes. So I've got childhood trauma that started at an early age. All that led into young adult trauma, which I'm not really ready to open up about that, but just imagine, or not, like, I don't like imagining it. I don't like recalling it, rather. But there were so many instances where mental, physical, emotional, sexual, financial, all the traumas, all the abuse. And now I'm sitting here at the ripe young age of 49. Yes, I'm 49 years old. And I'm looking back at life and I'm realizing, holy shit, it was a cycle. It was a cycle. It was a loop, and I got stuck in it. A traumatic loop at that. You know, that was the cycle of, what about me? Why not me? Or, now we call it victimization. I was caught up in the loop of victimization, and things kept happening. As soon as I would overcome one traumatic event, I'll be damned, another one, I'd fall flat up on my face. I'd stand up, brush myself off, and then another one would bring me right, or I'd stand up and brush myself off and be like, okay, I survived that. And then I'd literally walk right into another traumatic episode or event or whatever you want to call it. So one would be right there waiting for me. And I was constantly getting smacked down into the dirt, face down. Right now, this is when flashbacks were occurring. And yeah, I was having all these, like, even as I'm reading it, they drop back in. Anywho, the abuse was sustained. I guess I'll use the word sustained. It brings me gratitude to know I get to look back at what I've overcome. I get to look back at what I have survived. I get to sit here in gratitude with my hand on my chest, knowing that I made it. I made it and I survived. I get to sit here and recognize for the past however long, for my divorce, I decided to walk away in 2020. We had an on again, off again, tumultuous relationship. In 2020, so that was 6 years ago. For the past 6 years, I've been going it alone. Some of this is personal that I really don't feel like reading out loud. But yeah, I basically went from another relationship to another relationship and found out, that the deceit and the manipulation was still there. I would I would think things like, "Oh, you didn't tell me this about yourself or that about yourself." And so when I would find out, whomever I was dating at the time, that they had deceived me or lied or whatever words you want to use to call untruths discovered. So I decided to stay single. I've been single for going on 4 years now. I've tried to go on a few dates and just it doesn't feel aligned. So as soon as I recognize that my intuition's kicking in, I learned to ask questions, and when the person answers and I find out an untruth, I choose to walk away. And so maybe that's, the final sentence was I chose to walk away. It's been my choice. And that's what I'm realizing. It's my choice. Everything I've ever done has been my doing, my choice, my whatever you want to call it. And now I'm choosing different. That's the beauty of this world, this reality, this incarnation is we get to choose. So what do you choose? I'm choosing this. I like to smile. I like to smile. Choose laughing, dancing, smiling, and spreading joy. So from me to you,